We have a forum.
We have a forum. Oh, dear friends in Christ. All right. Welcome to the Audio Divina Faith Forum, to those hardy souls here in the room with us, and to those hardy souls who have chosen the better thing and stayed home where their slippers are near at hand. It is deep snow out there today, and so we're grateful for everyone being here this morning. Today we switch over to a new forum series from the Church Cracked Open, but as in all the things we do in the church, I hope that we will keep Stephanie Speller's wisdom and teaching, and indeed all the things that we've been learning about race and justice in the church, in the back of our minds as we engage with music and the scripture this morning. I know Craig and I did when we were choosing music. I'm sure you did as well. A couple of housekeeping notes before we plunge in. At any point in this forum, you can put a song that you're inspired to offer to the group that you think relates to the theme of today. Put that song in the chat, and then we'll copy and paste it to a playlist that we will literally create on Spotify and share with anyone that wants it, so that at the end of this, if you're thinking, I need to feel Lenten, you can go and download the St. John's Lenten playlist, which will be as eclectic as we are eclectic, and it'll be all over the place. The other thing is, during the playing of some of the songs, I'll enter into the chat some of the lyrics of the songs we're listening to, so that you don't need to struggle to keep up. For those of you watching, I think some of them actually have like closed captioning, but those lyrics will be available to you afterwards as well. I'll share them. We didn't get them printed out on the document, but there we are. To begin, what we want to do is a couple things. We want to be able to hear the gospel lesson for the week, and we'll have volunteers read it much as we would in Lectio Divina, both online and in the room. And we'll do the same listening, noticing, wondering about what you hear in the gospel. And then we'll do the same thing with the songs we play. What do you notice? What do you hear? What are you listening to? We'll have a chance for people to sing those things out loud or enter them in the chat, either one. But let's start with prayer. Father Craig, would you open us with the collect for the day?
Gladly. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Let us pray. Almighty God, whose blessed Son was led by the Spirit to be tempted by Satan, come quickly to help us who are assaulted by many temptations. And as you know the weaknesses of each of us, let each one find you mighty to save, through Jesus Christ, your Son, our Lord, who lives and reigns with you and the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever.
Amen. Can we have a volunteer here in the room to read the gospel for the first time? They're printed on the sheets that are available at the door. I can go grab a few more. Yeah. Oh, Phil, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Polly, would you mind?
I would love to. A reading from the Gospel of Luke. After his baptism, Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit in the wilderness, where for 40 days he was tempted by the devil. He ate nothing at all during those days, and when they were over, he was famished. The devil said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command this stone to become a loaf of bread." Jesus answered him, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone." Then the devil led him up and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And the devil said to him, "To you I will give their glory and all this authority, for it has been given over to me, and I will give it to anyone I please. If you then will worship me, it will all be yours." Jesus answered him, "It is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then the devil took him to Jerusalem and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to protect you. And on their hands they will bear you up so that you will not dash your foot against a stone. Jesus answered him, it is said, do not put the Lord your God to the test. When the devil had finished every test, he departed from him until an opportune time.
Thank you, Holly. So what do you hear? What do you notice? You can throw it in the chat. You can raise your hand online, or feel free to shout it out here in the room. What do you hear? What do you notice?
The devil is capable of quoting scripture.
Yes.
Yes, he is.
Good Lord, deliver us.
Anything else? Notice.
I've always thought it ironic in this passage that the devil was trying to give God what he had created in the first place.
Thank you, Christine.
And though there's three tests named, it doesn't finish that way. It said when it finished every test, which implies to me that there were many more than these three.
I don't know if you all heard that, but that there may be many more temptations not listed here, because it says after all these, implying there may have been more than just what we heard.
And he comes back, because that final phrase, this, Satan departed from Jesus until an opportune time.
Absolutely. Can we have one more volunteer from online to read this gospel aloud? Don't be shy. Just raise your hand or give me a thumbs up. The link is in the chat as well if you want to click on it. All right, Mark, thank you.
Took me a moment to get it all pulled up here. Okay. After his baptism, Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit in the wilderness, where for 40 days he was tempted by the devil. He ate nothing at all during those days, and when they were over, he was famished. The devil said to him, if you are the Son of God, command this stone to become a loaf of bread. Jesus answered him, it is written, one does not live by bread alone. Then the devil led him up and showed him in an instant all the kingdoms of the world. And the devil said to him, to you I will give their glory and all this authority, for it has been given over to me, and I give it to anyone I please. If you then will worship me, it will all be yours. Jesus answered him, it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him. Then the devil took him to Jerusalem and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, if you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to protect you, and on their hands they will bear you up so that you will not dash your foot against a stone. Jesus answered him, it is said, do not put the Lord your God to the test. When the devil had finished every test, he departed from him until an opportune time.
Thank you. So, as Craig and I were wrestling with themes, maybe this was me and not you, because I don't want to accuse you of being more priest than biblical scholar, but I sort of settled in on the theme of the day, less connected actually to the gospel, but I think underneath it, and that is, we enter into the worship service in a moment with the litany, which is this extended bidding of God to do these things, but also it includes a sense of confession.
Yes.
of what's wrong in us. And that sort of penitence is a part of this Lenten season. And I think underneath some of what Jesus is saying is actually, as he resists these temptations, he's making confessions about who God is and who he is. Another frame on confession.
And confession comes through, I think, in the epistle lesson that we'll hear this morning in worship, that confessing with our mouths comes up in the epistle, and this idea of both our hearts and our mouths and that alignment in our life of faith.
Absolutely. So as you listen this morning to the songs, we're going to play 2 selections. We'll talk between each one. We, of course, I see some of you already posting here. We'll invite you in the room to share your selections as well. But I see The Devil Went Down to Georgia has already been tossed out as a good one. And let me tell you, that's a great song. And then also, I am willing. So a link that we'll have to pull up and be able to see. But thank you for that as well. So what we want to do is play the song, and then we'll sort of do a sort of audio divina with the song. And so song number 1, just to set it up for you, is absolutely, is from my playlist, is from Johnny Cash, someone that I grew up listening to with my father. Didn't know Johnny Cash was cool until I got to college because I thought it was dad music, but found out later that he was well respected and much loved in the independent music scene, in the country music scene, in the rock music scene.
Sorry.
And right at the end of his career, did an album of covers of other great American musicians. And this comes from that album of covers. And it's a cover of another favorite artist of mine, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds' Mercy Seat, which, if you know Nick Cave, he likes to tell stories of a gothic nature often that are sort of dark and brooding. And this is the story of a man on death row going to the electric chair. So about as dark and morose as you can get. But he's telling his own kind of confession. First, not confessing, and then sort of slowly through the turns of the song coming to the truth. And I just love it. And I love the way Johnny Cash does it in his gravelly voice. And so let's hear it from the Man in Black, and I'll post the lyrics in the chat. So what do you hear? What did you notice in that song? It can be about the music itself, about the lyrics. It can be about.
Well, I'm usually much more a word person and a visual image person, so I try to really train myself to just listen. And I heard a climb, right? I heard like going up steps or climbing. The music itself would go up and then we'd go deep down again. So it was very much a glide for me, up and down. And then the words I kept hearing is that I'm not afraid to die, which is, I always can't say it.
Yeah, thank you, Holly. There's almost like going to the pinnacle. Kathy.
What I heard was, we layer and layer and layer of excuses. And it takes us quite a while to get down to our deep truth. And what it took for this guy to get there. And then the length of time after he tells his truth, his deep, deep truth. The music, thankfully for me, keeps going on and on and on. So I too have a time to experience, dig into my layers and masks. And just what human beings do. I thought it's a very powerful song that I've heard. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, Kathy. Yeah, Jay, go ahead.
I was reminded of another song, very different. Jimmy Buffett, Wasting Away in Margaritaville.
Huh.
He starts out saying, "Ain't nobody's fault. Could be my fault. It's my own damn fault." That sort of progression of recognition, the denial, I'm perfectly innocent, and until it's coming to oneself, coming to realize the truth, getting through the excuses and the evasions, and finally coming around to say, oh well, yeah, it is my own damn fault. And that might be another one to add to your playlist.
I will put it on here.
In response to what Kathy and Jay said, I was reminded of the film Dead Man Walking,
Yeah.
when Sean Penn's character is much like you're saying, Jay, is denial at the beginning, but then as she ministers to him, Susan Sarandon by the end of it says, I want to be the face of God for him. When, the community is so against her. And in Johnny Cash, that's just the voice. I can see Sean Penn's character very clearly, and that journey up to the mercy seat, which is when
it's an ironic image, isn't it?
Yeah.
The electric chair and the mercy seat that kind of blend together.
Yeah, it's powerful.
Yeah.
And that's attributable to Nick Cave's ability to weave the biblical, even though he's not a particularly religious man, but the biblical and the Gothic together with like lived stories. Beth says that Johnny Cash embodied the trauma and reality of life. Another Cash song, which is great for today, is I Walk the Line. There's a part of Johnny Cash which was deeply troubled. He was able to tap into that and bring a level of this to the singing, which envelops the listener and opens the soul to levels of emotion. Thank you for that, Beth. And I think that's why I love the Johnny Cash cover. On the Nick Cave side, about 5 years ago, following the death of his son at an early age, Nick Cave wrote an album called Ghostine, where he sort of works through, and then just recently came out with another album working through his grief over his son. And he's just able to wrestle with these categories of grief in kind of apocalyptic and larger than life way. So I recommend those as well. Any final thought on this song before we move to set up the second song?
I have only one.
I was struck at the very beginning of the song about how much he talked about objects. And, seeing a broom, seeing something, and there's this minutia of life in a cell with objects. And I don't know quite how it ties into the rest of it, but I was struck by it.
Absolutely. Yeah, the sort of the tangible, like this is a spiritual song, and yet it's dealing in very concrete categories of reality, down to the minutia of the janitor's closet objects. I think the tying that, I think then back to the notion of turning, the other place that this echoes is certainly T.S. Eliot's poem, where he talks about turning. I do not hope to turn again. It's just sort of that constant revisiting of going back to, I thought I told a lie. Maybe I did tell a lie. I didn't tell the truth. And I think that that's why it's so appropriate for this season of Lent. We'll come back over and over to these well-worn words of confession. And actually, I hope today, as you enter into the litany, that repetition, it's not just the specifics of it, the tangible things that we'll confess. It's also the have mercy upon us. It's that deeply spiritual affirmation that God's mercy will be bid to us as well. But now we move from things very mundane, like mops and closets, to things sublime.
Thank you. So I selected the third movement from Johannes Brahms' second piano trio, the Scarecrow. Why I chose this is, for me, without words, just the music captures wilderness and God's grace. It's ternary form, so A, B, A. This A section, this wilderness moment, which is quite terrifying, and then this imperceptible moment where God's grace just bursts in. But then the A section comes back. This opportune time that Satan will look for to return. And it's a scherzo, it's supposed to be this light sorbet to freshen the palate before the grand finale. This is nothing. Scherzo means joke. This is one of the most serious scherzos available. And Brahms, I think, captures for me what's going on in the gospel. This performance is, you'll see, fantastic musicians here. Sorry, one moment, Kathy. You've just got some capitalism in the room.
Okay, we're good. Carry on.
Sorry, go ahead, Kathy.
Okay, so thank you for the introduction. So what happened to me is that, this sounded so sinister. And then the grace happened, and it was so moving and so beautiful. And then we went back to that picture and I kept thinking, I want to so much bring that grace of B into A. I thought this is helping me. I mean, I didn't know if I heard it until maybe every once in a while there would just be a few beautiful little notes, anyway. So I thought it is here, Kathy, it is indeed here. After being in and with grace, you can't go back with you. That is in you. So it is there. I might not be able to really know those notes, but it just sensed that there was that I'm not forlorn. So that's what happened to me.
Wonderful.
Very beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Yes, we can't help but hear it in a different way. Once we heard the B section,
Yes.
the A section can never be heard the same. Yes, thank you.
I'd like to speak for a moment.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Phil.
I listened to this yesterday. I have to respectfully disagree with your analysis of this, Greg. I mean, I can see very much that there is a difference between the two sections, but the A section does not, to me, seem to be wilderness. It seems to me to be another variation of the incredible chromatic and complex unity that Brahms brings to composition. So being a big Brahms fan, I love the music, but I thought that trying to talk about a section as wilderness was, yeah, maybe, but to me, that was just a little bit, a little contrived.
Thank you, Phil. What did you hear in the A section? If it wasn't wilderness.
Oh, to me, it's simply more jagged, more agitated. But within that, there was such harmony. So no, perhaps it's that the language of Brahms to me is so glorious. It's hard to see wilderness in that section. That's all.
Okay.
I love this back and forth on this idea, because if Nate Van Eperen, former parishioner and ethicist, was here, who studies wilderness, I think he might say there's a way in which, particularly in the Western world, that we conceive of wilderness as a place of only violence and evil, but that actually, I think what Phil is naming actually is more true. As we spend time in wilderness, it's both the jagged edges, but also the harmonies and the beauty. I mean, most of us now, I think the West has moved from that notion, particularly in the US, that we all seek out wilderness. We want to go to places where the edges aren't straight and where we can actually let our mind soak in the fractals of nature. But so I love that you're both hearing different things, and yet maybe a similar theme. Beth says, I noticed how Brahms used the tones which the different string instruments can make and turn them into a conversation. And for me, the first section was all hyper, like the devil dancing around to tempt Christ. The second was very calm, like Jesus was calm inside himself. And I like the word jagged. The devil can be jagged. Yeah. And Jan says confusion. She heard confusion.
Bob and then Christine.
I think Craig and I would both agree it's really hazardous to attach a program to any music from this era. We all know that. However, what I noticed, especially, did you notice Emmanuel Axe's very delicate fingers? Brahms is generally he had big hands. He did big piano pieces. Many of them were ABA. Always a contrast. You have to have it. But then there's Yo-Yo Ma. Did you catch his eyes as he's communicating with the violinist, who I don't know? Just, they are in such intense communication through this whole piece. Yeah, I love this sort of stuff.
Yeah. And Emmanuel Axe, those flashes of lightning, those diminished seven arpeggios.
And his fingers barely move.
Yeah, and that's where, I heard, and forgive me, I heard scorpions, I saw rattlesnakes, I saw lightning, confusion, jaggedness, sharp edges in that, heard that in the A section, and then that sort of balm of God's love.
Which is why, in the spirit of the diversity between us, you will go to the orchestra hall for your needed retreat, and I'll go to a mountain somewhere. And you're seeing like the spiders that could be there, and I'm like creating a windswept rock face.
I am an indoorsman,
and this is why we're good for each other. We balance each other in this way. Yeah. Other noticing is as we sort of approach our final movement, no pun intended. Christine.
I really thought of the violin as being, because of the movement and the A section particularly, of being Satan speaking. He was like, I gotta show you this, I gotta show you that, well, I mean, he just was like way off there, kind of like a kid, tugging at mom and dad. It was like, and then the B section, the cello, to me was Christ's response. I am who I am. I know who I am. I'm confident in myself and in God, and you will not, shake that. And then in the last A section, it's like all these voices came together not necessarily a mutual respect, but knowing that they aren't necessarily going to change each other. And so it is what it is for now.
Right. Mm.
But all the voices were heard.
Thank you, Christine. Yeah. Holly.
Just kind of following up on Christine's comment, I was thinking that some of the instruments could be in both A and B. In other words, like us, I mean, a violin can get staccato and it can be, it can be a scorpion and it can also be a soothing grace. And so again, a single instrument can hold both of those.
Scorpions
sounds.
and aloe vera.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Just like us.
Venom, anti-venom. Yes.
Yeah.
No, I love this. I think I noticed speaking of Yo-Yo Ma's facial expressions and Kavakos. If there was Scarecrow, it was in their eye play with each other. It wasn't just Yo-Yo Ma, but there was like when Kavakos saw him, he was like, what?
And smile.
In the smile, there was a playfulness in the music, and I think in the musicians themselves. And I've often wondered about bringing it back to the gospel. I've often wondered why, in all of Jesus's power that he had access to, why this text needs to read so dangerous. And so here is the Son of God. I feel like he's playing with the devil. I feel like that this is something that I remember growing up that my pastor told me, is that we often make the devil out to be far more powerful. We love these like light versus dark, equal sides and opposing. But the Christian narrative, the Jewish narrative of evil is that evil is but a sort of dalliance. It's sort of this little thing over here. It's a scherzo. It's not to be taken seriously to the point of losing our sight on God, who is powerful.
Okay.
And I love that.
This is making me feel better about saying this, because what came to me was Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner. Roadrunner going along.
That's how I got my Brahms anyways, is through those cartoons. So.
Maybe there's a reason why I thought Roadrunner's going along, happy as a clam, and is somehow protected from, any the anvils, the anti. But I mean, there was a certain way in which there was stuff lurking around the edge, and yet it wasn't scary.
Right. Any other, before we pivot to the final thing, any last word from online? We've heard well from here in the room. So as you think, if you have one last word, please again put your suggestions for the playlist into the chat, or if you're a Facebook person, on Monday this playlist will go live on the Facebook page with an invitation for folks on social media to engage it and to throw their own suggestions there, so we can play with the songs all week. So I hope you'll continue to join us in playfulness. We have two songs that we've not heard. And so because we only have time for one, as the exit track, we won't talk about it, it'll just be your music to send you into the Great Litany. We have Acknowledgement by John Coltrane off of his A Love Supreme, and perhaps one of the most spiritual albums out there, but a beautiful piece nonetheless. Inspired the Church of John Coltrane, an African Orthodox church, which uses his music as the basis of their spirituality. Or they say this on The Current, there's always the No Apologies track, which is, this may not be up to your critical, up to snuff, taste, but we're going to play it anyways. No apologies. We have a children's selection from Encanto. So Surface Pressure is the song. So Surface Pressure or Love Supreme. Please put your hand up or put your comment in the chat. We'll start with Encanto. Raise your hand if you want to hear Encanto. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Encanto. And online, anyone raise your hand if you want to hear Encanto, or just put a yes. No. I see another 2. That's 6. All right, now 7. All right, A Love Supreme. Who would like to hear A Love Supreme? 1, 2, 3, 4. Hands up on here. 5, 6. It appears that A Love Supreme has it.
Yep.
So if you'll share that, that'll be our exit music. Thank you all, and watch for the email. There'll be listening to the links I will try to get the lyrics out also on the Facebook page where in a way that you can read them. I know that you weren't able to access them nor were you, so we'll get them out to everyone.